So we're shifting. This is exercise number 1. You've arranged the crown, the open knee joints, and the bubbling springs, the balls of the feet, and you're arranging yourself to use one leg more, other leg less, and going heel, down, shift. Now I'm arranged over this other leg. Now the heel lifts, the heel lowers, shift. So right away, you notice what we're doing. The essential skill is differentiate between one is your support leg or full leg, and you're lifting the heel of the empty foot, keeping it empty as you put the heel down, and then shifting. Same thing on this side. Heel and down. So we'll call that level 1. The level 2 exercise, and please feel free to stay at level 1, the level 2 is not only do we, let's see if I can get a good angle here. Not only do we lift the heel, but we even get up to the tippy toes of that foot and possibly lift it off the ground and then go toe, heel. Still no body weight, and then shift your body weight into that leg. The other foot, go heel, possibly lift, lower, down, and then shift, right? So it's lift, and the key to lifting and lowering is that I'm not, when I'm putting this foot down, putting my weight into that leg as it goes down. I'm setting it down with no weight. So that's something for our brain to feel. Change sides, we go lift, down, still no weight, then shift. And then it's lift, down, shift. Continue. So teacup, it's the other important piece. When you get to one leg, try not to lean and lean. Take your vertical axis, your vertical line, over through to the bubbling spring of the right foot, lift the empty left foot, and then change and lift. Shift. So level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5 is just how high do you lift that empty leg and set it down. And then change. Wait for the moment where you go, oh, I feel that this one over here now is lighter. Oh, so therefore I can lift it and I can lower it, and I'm not struggling to do so as much as when we're double weighted and trying to pull it up, and it's very scary for the body. The body's like, I don't like that. But if we go, oh, first, establish, second, lift and lower, then change where you're established. Be there for a moment, then lift and lower. All right, so that's our first exercise. And again, if you have questions about them, just reach forward, unmute yourself and say, I have a question, and then we can work from there. But unless we have a question, I'm going to go to the next exercise, okay? All right, so the next one here, watch how I do this. So now I'm going to put the weight in one leg. It's the other one is empty, and I'm lifting it and I'm stepping it out in front a little bit, and then just sliding it back behind. Bend the knee a little bit, pick the foot up and bring it forward, slide it. So what I'm giving here is the full experience of this leg. It's almost like skateboarding, right? We're going pushing off the ground a little bit, but we're having an empty leg. And again, this is why you need a sturdy item here. But we're trying to get a little bit of freedom, a feeling of freedom of, here's my empty leg. Look, it's free to move. And I'm, you can lean on your chair or whatever you need to do, but get this feeling of free. Then let's do it the other way. So slide the foot forward, pick it up a little, reach it behind, slide it forward, bend the knee, lift the foot a little bit, and reverse bicycle back, and then slide. And so this is helping get a good feeling of the functional movement of the hip, knee, ankle, foot, and how it works together. One more. and we're going to switch sides. So change the weight, still got your hand on your chair. Pick the foot up, put it out in front like you're about to take a step, but then just sweep it back. Bend the knee a little bit, pick the foot up, step it out. And just notice, how's your teacup doing on the top of your head? Keep that idea. One more, and then we switch directions of the leg. Now we go forward, up a little bit, tuck and reach it back, and then slide through, and slide through. So we're separating this feeling of the pelvis and that leg. Because you can see, over time, you can develop to be able to do it if I'm well established over here without the hand on the chair. But do hand on the chair in the beginning. All right, and done with that. Now, in between, we're going to do sink chi to the belly, which is this from our Tai Chi practice, where the hands come up over the top and settle, settle, settle to the belly. If that didn't feel safe without a hand on a chair, you can just do one hand. But the idea here is that we don't exhaust ourselves. We exercise, and then we take a little moment of return. All right? Okay, so now the next exercise. So I'm going to keep changing, but you can hopefully just stay exactly as you are. So the next exercise is you got your hand on your chair, empty one foot, and put the heel out in front of you, right? So you got this relationship between your feet, and you shift into that front leg and somewhat empty the back foot, and then shift back. And here you are. So now this front foot is the empty leg, back foot is the full leg. Then we change that. We have to bring our center, our whole self, more forward in the room into the leg that's out in front. The back foot is now empty, so the heel can lift off the ground a little bit. Then we change that. Oh, we're going backwards now. So you feel your center goes back in space and establishes in the back leg. And then it goes forward in space. And then it goes back in space. Continue that, please. This is level one, where the heel and the toe stay in contact with the floor, right? So here, I'm emptying this leg, but the heel is staying in contact. And then I'm emptying this back foot, but the toe is staying in contact even as I lift this heel. And then we shift back and forward. Level two, shift back. Now what we want to do is get just a little separation, lift the foot a little, set the heel back down, shift. Now, same thing in the back foot. Lift the foot, put the toe back down, shift back. Lift the heel, lower the heel, shift forward. Lift the toe, lower the toe, shift back. Heel, down, shift forward. Lift, lower, shift. So think of this as level two. Now, level three of this is just not only lift the foot, but actually tuck it up into this chambered position, and then extend it and lower it without putting any weight in it, and shift. Now, this is a little tricky, so watch me. You lift the foot and you bring the knee forward. So we're again to this position, but then we reverse and reach it back, and then we shift. Front foot, heel lift, and then there's a little tuck, and then down. So it's the same exercise, right? And if you're feeling very unsteady with level two or level three, you just stay with level one and keep the heel touching and toe touching. But there's these additional challenges that we add. And there's even a level four, which I'll show you. Be very careful with this one. kind of becomes like the martial arts side. So we bring the foot up. If you're here, you do a little toe extension, very soft. It's like a little toe kick, a little flick, right? Then we put the foot down, we shift, bring this knee up, little toe, right? And then we step it back, shift. Make sure you get it all the way into position, your established teacup, little flick, and down. And that has many reasons why that's valuable, one of which is that it's a change, it's a variable that's happening, and you make sure that you're able to keep your steadiness during a variable. Shift, and back. Now we're going to switch sides. So I'm gonna, I'll just keep it on this side for now, because normally you'd want to like switch which hand is grabbing, but just for our purposes here, let's keep it simple. Other foot in front. Other foot in front. Let's do level 1. Shift. So remember, your center of gravity is now established in your front foot. Then shift back. Established in your back foot. Shift forward. Establish in the front. Feel that the back foot is not needed as much. And then change that. Shift back. Now, something I didn't say on the first round, I want to say now, is there is some forward shift that happens, but most of what needs to happen is a downward trajectory of release of body weight to get to the earth. Same thing on the way back. There's some backwards movement, but most of what's important is a down quality, a releasing down through to the ball of the foot, right? So to get to this front leg and establish, it's not like forward, 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 forward. It's some forward, but a lot of release down. And same thing on the way back. It's somewhat adjusting backwards in space, but most of it's like release yourself through to the earth, connect through that bubbling spring. Again, shifting. So think of it as somewhat back and down. So somewhat back and release through to the earth. Somewhat forward, release through, down to the earth. Now let's go to level 2. That's establish in the back leg, disconnect the front foot from the earth, lower it back down, shift. Back foot, disconnect it by bending the knee, put the toe back to the earth, shift back. Front foot, disconnect, down, shift. Back foot, disconnect, down, shift. Disconnect, down, shift. Disconnect, down, shift. Keep doing it, please. Think of it as discernment, a discernment practice for your brain. When did you shift? Did you go forward and down? Is that back foot empty? Okay, good. It's time to lift. It's time to lower. Now, shifting somewhat back, releasing down. It's time to lift, lower, shift. So your brain is experiencing these sections of something that usually is just one big sort of non-precise movement. Now you're going shift, release through to the earth, lift, lower, shift, wait for it, lift, lower, shift. Now, level 3, lift the foot and tuck it up to this chamber position, teacup still balanced, lower that leg down, shift, back foot, not only lift the foot, but bring the knee forward. Then from this forward position, reach the foot back. That's an important movement. And then shift, lift, chamber, out and down, shift, lift, and chamber, back, and through. Chamber, down, shift consciously, Weight, lift and chamber. Slowly reach the foot back, but no body weight goes back. Then you let your body weight go back. Then you're ready to lift down. Let's do 2 more in level 3. So fewer reps is better because it's giving you opportunity to say all these principles. Now let's go right to level 4, just a couple rounds. Remember what that is chamber, a little soft flick and return, set it down. Shift, chamber, a soft flick. Reach it back, no weight, shift back. Chamber, little flick, down, shift. Last one. And step your feet together. Have a seat for a moment. Sink chi to the belly. And just give your legs a bit of a rub. Knees, hips and buttocks and tailbone and back, groin area. Fold at the hips, rub the lower legs, the calves, the ankles. Okay, so hopefully that was self-explanatory so far. If there is a question, feel free to unmute yourself and ask. We're going to move on to our next bit. Looks like maybe, Martha, there's a question.
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah.
How much should we be depending on the chair back to hold on to?
As much as needed right now, because what we really want to do is get the brain comfortable with separating one foot in space and feeling safe. Because if without using the chair, you just don't feel comfortable doing this, it's better for what we're trying to accomplish that you really, use that and get this leg up in space so that it feels like, okay, I can be up here. And over time, you'll use the chair less. Someday, perhaps just a fingertip touching as you work on some of these things. So allow yourself early on to really use your support, your external support, and then we'll move off of the external support as the strength builds and the awareness builds.
Thank you.
Does that work?
Yes, thank you.
Great. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is a little bit trickier. It's again stepping it up a notch, So just watch what I do first. Yeah. Do you need to get something first?
No,
I'll be out of here in about 15 minutes. Yeah, great. Thanks. Okay. So, yeah. Thank you. So the next exercise here, we need to be towards the back end of our chair, and we have that same side foot out in front. So just watch what I do. Just watch. So I'm shifting. This foot is empty. I let it float through, and then I shift, and now I get to this position, right? And then I reverse that. So now I'm shifting back, waiting until this foot is empty. I let it float back and touch. It's empty. Notice it's still empty. Then I shift back, still got my hand on my balance implement. So now we're actually taking one step forward, one step back, and this is level 1 because we're staying very close to the ground. So go ahead and join me. And I think if you could arrange yourself like I have with my chair back, facing opposite the camera, because then when we do the other side, we'll just turn around and do it on this other side, okay? So let's have yourself towards the back end of your chair. Then the hands, for me, this is my left. It might be your right. That would help you or whatever. but just make sure you're paying attention to what you're doing. Use that same foot and put it out in front of you just a touch. Now you shift, and remember it's somewhat forward, but a lot down. The back foot empties and it's ready to just float through, swing it through, and then shift into it and pause. So that's our fully executed move. Then we go backwards. Remember, it's somewhat back, but a lot in down to the earth. This foot, front foot empty, you just let it swing back and tap the toe. And then you're going shift and pause. Now we're going forward. Shift. Back foot is empty. We let it float through, heel touch, and shift. And we go back. Shift back. Wait for the front foot to be empty. Don't rush it. Float it. And then shift. So again, it's that discernment for the brain. Discern for your brain. Shift forward. Wait, 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 wait. Up. Now the back foot's empty. It's ready to float through. Then we're shift, 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 shifting. Pause. Shift, 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 shift back. Floats. Shift, 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 shift back. Pause. Now let's go to level 2. Separate from the earth. Set it down. Shift forward. Now the imagination is that there's like a little toy or a little something on the ground you have to step over. So a small obstacle. You have to lift the foot off the ground and do a little sort of forward bicycle circle. Touch the floor with the heel and then shift. And we separate the back foot from the earth. This is level 2. Put the toe down. Now we do level 2 backwards. Shift back, wait for it. Oh, small obstacle. Foot has to lift, tuck, reach. But notice when I reached, did I put my weight in my foot yet? I didn't. And then I choose. Time to do it. Lift the front foot, lower the front foot. Let's do it again. So it's shift, wait for the back foot to be empty. Really wait. Then a little light step over, and then shift. Separate. Put it down. Shift back, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. Now, small obstacle. Notice that reach back. Shift. Separate. So see if you can find that flow. It has a nice rhythm. It's almost like swing dancing. It's like a swing dance move where you go shift, step, shift, up, down, shift, up and over, reach it back with no weight. Then decide it's time for that weight change. So discern between stepping and weight shifting. Weight shift, step, weight shift. Lift that foot, lower that foot. Again, shift back, step, shift back. Let's go level 3. So that means this foot tucks up and then it steps down. Still no weight. Shift, and then this we sort of do this ultra exaggerated movement of the leg, and then we shift. And then not only that, but we bring this knee up to a chamber, and then we're going back. Back, shift back. Now, the way we step back is this exaggerated, tuck it up and under, reach it back with no weight. Notice I didn't go with the leg. I didn't go with the leg. That's specific there. And then shift back, chamber. Forward, shift. Now the exaggeration of heel to butt, knee up to the chest, foot out in front. Call that a forward bicycle, right? And then put the foot down and shift. And now we do half a forward bicycle. 1, 2. Then we reverse that. 1, 2. Now we're going back. We do a full reverse bicycle. Very good. And then shift. Really good. One more, level 3. Eventually this becomes butter. This becomes buttery smooth, right? Use your chair as much as you need to get that feeling of leg separation. Let's just try 2 level 4s, which means flick, down, chamber into a flick, down, chamber into a flick, back, chamber into a flick, back. Last one. Let's do one more. And switch sides by walking across and facing the other direction, whatever that other direction is for you. So now see if you can remember the continuum or spectrum that I offered, right? So it should be the same side foot as the hand that's on the chair. That's your starting foot. Level 1. What is level 1? Right? It's the lowest possible expression of this exercise. The easiest, right? You might say. Shift, wait for the back foot to be empty, and then it just swings through, very low to the ground. This one's the closest to actual walking, right? Back, we wait. That's the key here. Wait for this foot to feel empty, so it's like a feather. It just floats back. And then we shift into it. Wait there. Let's go forward. So we shift. Remember, it's somewhat forward, a lot down. Empty foot floats through. And this is level 1. Keep it nice and chill down near the ground. We're going back, float back, shift, discerning. And this is as opposed to what a lot of people would do would be the weights in the ground, 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 right? So we're changing from this, where it's just sort of sloppy, to, ooh, you know, really precise, like step, shift, shift, step, shift, shift, step, shift, shift, step. Now let's go to level 2. So remember what level 2 is. Lift, lower, small obstacle, whoop, and then shift. Separate the foot from the floor, put it back on the floor, shift back, small obstacle. So it's a little bit of a lift, a bend of the knee to tuck the foot, and a reach back without any weight in it, and then we shift. Lift the foot, lower the foot, shift. Little obstacle, shift. Lift foot, lower foot, shift. Little reverse, shift. Lift foot, lower foot, shift. Small obstacle, shift. Lift foot, lower foot, shift. Small obstacle, shift. Now let's go to level 3. Full chamber. Out. Shift. Now this is that exaggerated heel to butt, knee to chest, foot extends and lowers. And then we shift. Then exaggerated, heel to butt, knee up, and we stop here. So this is the front end of the step. Now we go backwards. So reach the foot back, set it up, shift into it, lift, tuck, reach back without putting any weight in it, right? That's the trick right there. And then shift. Tuck. We go forwards, level 3. Shift. Forward bicycle, which is heel, knee, foot, down, shift, heel, knee. So half forward, then we reverse. Reach it back, wait for it, shift, full reversed bicycle. Shift. Tuck it in. 2 more. Again, someday this can feel seamless, like you are a gorgeous blue heron walking around in the swamplands or the marshlands more, softly stepping, right, as you're looking for the fish that you're hunting, right? This is how they, at any moment, they're waiting, they plunge into the water, they shift their weight the whole time, they're observing. Because any imbalanced sort of sloppy movement scares the fish, right? So it's a nice poetic image. Let's do just 2 of them with level 4. So that's tucked up, flick, down, shift. We go all the way to chamber, flick, and then down. And 1 more forward into a flick. And then back, shift back. It's up, flick, and then reverse, shift, flick. 1 more time, all the way through. Flick, 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 and down. Set your chair up so that you can have a seat. And actually, please unmute yourselves before you sit down so that we can have just a brief discussion with questions of any kind, and then have a seat. And once more, do that little self-massage. Rub the groin, hips, lower back, and then down the thighs. Spend a little extra time on the knees. Often the knees will feel a little achy. Use your thumbs, your fingers, get back of the knees, the hamstrings. Fold at the hips to get your hands down onto your calf muscles and your shins and ankles. And then slide all the way up. And we'll do this sort of finishing massage movement here. This is a nice little brain challenge. It also gets the flow of the chi really well. So 1 hand goes up the outside of 1 arm. Turn that arm palm up. Come down so you come down the inside. And we do that again on the same arm. Turn the palm down, up to the shoulder, turn the palm down past the fingertips. Up the outside, turn the palm down the inside. Can you get that to, can you go up, down, up, down, up, down. Switching sides. Up the outside to the shoulder, turn the palm up. Down the inside, up, down, yang, yin. Yang channels the back, yin channels the inside front. 1 more, or a couple more, I'm sorry, with a little bit of flow. And then we sink chi to the belly, hands in front of the belly. And then seal the practice. 1 hand on the navel, other hand on top of that hand. 5 breaths here with the eyes gently closed. All right, and then sit back against the back of your chair, chill out and relax. So a few of you have unmuted yourself. Others of you have stayed muted. Please unmute yourself if you have a question or a comment, how that worked. What we worked on today was just 1 direction of movement, but I gave you a good look at the continuum of the exercise, right? And then we do side steps and we do rotational steps. So we didn't get to side step, we didn't get to rotational step, but as you get more proficient with, oh, this is what we do each week, then we get to go through the whole continuum and add exercises to it. So today was day 1. right? And let's see where we can get to over the next few months. And hopefully you guys are able to sort of be consistent with it as well. So questions? Nancy?
When we were talking in the beginning about falling,
Yeah.
and trying, I guess, a lot of these exercises are to try to avoid tripping and so forth. But one of my issues with falling is I might even trip like a normal person, like just stub my toe or trip over the stair. But it's my reaction, my reflexes. Like that's why a couple of weeks ago when I fell, it was like, what was up with falling and not having my arms go ahead of me like a normal person? It's like
Right. Right.
what's
Right. That you just went down and didn't have that response. Yeah, that's a separate sort of it's a related issue, but it's one that is a little trickier to maybe practice in this sort of context, right? It's like how, practicing how to deal with that. I mean, there's a way you might challenge yourself like this: go stand in front of a wall and tip forward and catch yourself. Right? Like that's a way to think about how to practice something like that if you want to practice falling
yeah,
and having better reactions.
yeah,
But you also might have a broken wrist right now or a broken forearm right now if you had fallen and taken all that brunt right into your hands. So it's a mixed bag, right? But that's an exercise you might think of. Go in a safe area, get close to a wall, and just tip forward and work on catching and pushing yourself back. Catching and pushing yourself back. That's a suggestion for how to think about that. But I personally would rather us think about training, not falling,
okay.
But hopefully that's something that if you feel like you want to go try that, yeah, go lean up against a wall and work on, hey, hands, why weren't you there for me? That kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Something else? Did that work for people? I saw people look like they could do it. That's our first bar we want to make sure we get over, is that the exercises we did today were something you said, I could do those. This one was a little difficult. This one felt weird or whatever, but you executed it without falling. No one fell during today's class. That's a win. Yeah. So anything? Tony, Martha, Sheila, Janet, Sally, Gregory, Malcolm?
Yeah.
Well, if we practice this at home, should we try to do it so that we're not holding on to the chair?
No. You should hold on to the chair. Let me stop this recording.